everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Tonight, we're going to be looking at Snarf #1, the great anthology underground comic from Kitchen Sink Enterprises. So, Dennis Kitchen is in a lot of these, but also a lot of other great underground cartoonists. I gotta say, guys, rereading this last night, this is a really good underground. There's so much good stuff in this. And this was published in 1972. Snarf went on all the way into, I believe the late 80s, mid to late 80s maybe. And I have all of them. So this is the first of a series. Over the next few weeks or maybe months, I'll be showing off every issue. So beautiful Dennis Kitchen cover. I think Dennis Kitchen's cartooning is so impeccable. I love this stuff. It's such a great tragedy that he's such a good businessman and editor and publisher. And he didn't have much time to draw the rest of his life. But I love his stuff. So we have I like this little Snarf lineup. It gives us a little bit about all the artists. It's all kind of humorous. And we start off with Dennis Kitchen, Rex Glamour, Process Server. And God, I love this cartooning so much. Every panel looks so perfect to me. Just the composition, the style, everything about it. He was just definitely putting the work in. Lots of zipatone and shading effects. So we see Rex Glamour shows up at his boss's office after fighting through all these goons. And he says, you gotta serve the summons, deliver the summons to Mr. Big. Now, apparently, it's a very dangerous mission. Mr. Big is like the biggest criminal in the city. So this woman shows up, and she says, looking for Mr. Big. And she says, let's go to my place. We'll talk about it. And her purse falls on the floor, and there's all these weapons and bombs in there. And the narrator says, beware, Rex, this might be a trap. So as soon as they get to her apartment, she says, my name is Shirley, and I love you. Wait here while I change into something more comfortable. And then all these goons come out with guns and just pepper him with bullets. And of course, it's a comic strip, so he's not dead, even though he has holes in him, all these holes. And he says, I've been wounded, and he passes out. So he wakes up in a strange room hours later. The woman's there. She takes him to bed. And she says, I set you up, but I had to. And she starts crying. Because he says, why? Why did you have to set me up? She starts sobbing. This is great, almost Kurtzman gag here, where she just keeps crying every panel. This whole gag is, the tears are filling up the room with water. And finally, he's just sick of her crying, and he punches her. And she says, thanks, I needed that. Very old school humor. So she's about to tell him why she has to work for Mr. Big, why she tried to set him up. And right as she's about to explain why, a knife comes out of nowhere, almost kills her. More goons come in. And once again, he's just assaulted. Look at this, a spear and a meat cleaver. Someone's hammering a nail into his shoe. I love that. Lots of bullets. A blunderbuss looks like shooting him. Someone's just throwing a bottle at his head. Just a lot of good sight gags in this. So now here he is. Of course, it's a comic strip. So he gets up. And then this guy shows up. Rocco Rock Hard. He's a police detective. And they kind of compare notes. Turns out Mr. Big has done every crime on the book. He's committed murders, kidnappings, robberies. What did we get him on? And it turns out to be a parking violation, So this guy's going to help Rex get serve the summons to Mr. Big. I like this kind of sight gag where they're looking at they're following the footprints. They're on someone's trail. And Rex actually picks up one of the footprints. Rocco shoots a hippie. He asks him, why'd you do that? I have to keep in practice. So they get sucker punched by these guys at the end of this alley. These two more goons knock him out. Another trap. They wake up and they're tied to a railroad track with that woman, Shirley. And Mr. Big, there's a little radio box. It says, hey, Mr. Rex Glamour, I like your style. How about working for me? I'll set you free and give you $50,000. And he's such a proud, PI. He's like, forget it. I have a job to do. So the other guys are like, just take the deal, Rex. We're going to die. So he does. And the train is diverted. These like magic scissors come out of nowhere and free them from their bonds. And a bag of $50,000 falls out of the sky. She throws her arms around Rex and says, my hero. And then the last panel, another train comes and totally destroys them. We see Rex's head, Shirley's arm. Then we have a little fake ad here for Rex Glamour Fan Club. It's typical fan club. You get a card, a newsletter. To be honest, I think this is real. Dennis Kitchen loved tchotchkes. He loved making pins for his stable of comic artists. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a real offer and you could have gotten this stuff. So you did get a pin. I think he had his own pin making machine. Now we have Tim Boxell, Outrage in the Cafe. These Tim Boxell strips in here are so gnarly. He's just like, there's something about his stuff that just seems so unhinged to me. It almost looks very straight. Like, oh, this could be the cartooning for an advertisement, like a comic strip advertising something. But then there's something off. Like, look at her face. Very well drawn, but there's something off about that face. So we see this couple at a diner. And the guy says, waiter, there's a fly in my soup. And there's literally a fly, like in a pair of pants. And he says, indeed, sir, I'll open it for you. And this penis comes out and pees in the woman's face. And she says, if that's the pea soup, I'm glad I didn't ask for a Bloody Mary. Pretty dumb joke. But man, I just love Tim Boxell's unhinged comics. There's just something about him where he doesn't seem right. Like, even the way he draws is just like, dude, man, you're crazy. Next, we have Ronald Ruck versus the Human Woman. This is by Everett Geradts, the great Dutch cartoonist. Dennis Kitchen published a lot of his stuff way before, European comics were being reprinted over here. So we see Ronald Ruck walking down the street. He sees this hot lady, the Human Woman, and he starts hitting on her very crudely. Just like, yeah, show me your tits, baby. So this woman doesn't like this. But she's like, oh, you want to see them? This is so crazy. And her boobs come out, and one of them punches him in the face. It's a tit punch. It totally basically crushes his face. I like this woman power. And then he's just like, he's got a hole in his face. And he's totally just like, where am I? What time is it? Oh my God, how long have I been out? And then he fixes his face somehow by dunking it in water. And then I guess he was turned on by that. He's like, I gotta track that woman down. And when he sees her, he says, please, won't you do it again? She says, not a chance. And he says, I'll make you rich. And he offers her money. And we see her kind of almost like she's swooning. And he says, they'll do anything for money. But then she says, okay, close your eyes. 1, 2. And she just punches him with her fist. And she runs away saying, woman power. And he's just left there like, wah, wah, wah. Such an odd strip. Like, it's better to get punched by a boob, I guess, and have your face caved in than have a punch in the eye. Guys, this comic is fucking... It's a masterpiece. I think it's an underground comic masterpiece. This is Wendell Pugh. And we looked at him about a year ago. He had this solo... one of the weirdest comics I've ever seen. It's called Googie Welmer. That comic is almost like pure abstraction. It's just nuts. This comic is less than abstract, but it is complete dada kookiness. And so well done, as you can probably see already. There's some, like, look at this, just this logo. It's called Crescent City Rolo. Look at this great lettering here with this weird psychedelic design work in the negative space. And this comic doesn't make much sense. It's pretty nuts, but it's actually kind of funny. It's just because it's so bizarre. But I love this. Just like everything about this. Every page has just got all this amazing stuff in it. Just like amazing line work, amazing shading. I love, even the lettering is beautiful. So Rollo wakes up, he eats like a bunch of cereal, like a lot of cereal. And like just weird little things. He's looking through this, I guess, Cheerio type cereal bit. You know, it's a circle. He says, just by looking through this scronco, I can see my reflection 4 times. And the 4 versions of him on his shirt, it says shit, shat, shot, shut. I can't make heads or tails of this comic. It's like total dada. And then we see him on the toilet. He's dreaming of like a cool chopper motorcycle, but with a toilet for a seat. And then we see him riding it. He crashes. Look at this great panel with the what do you call those? Like kind of force lines, you know, because he's conking his head. And then he ends up in his bathroom. And his head is in the bathtub. He says, how did I end up here? And there's a chicken there. I guess it's his like sister. She's like knocking on the door saying, Mother, Rollo's whacking off with the John again. The mother's like, get out of there. And then it just seems like totally forgotten. He just says, time to split for TV. And he goes to watch some TV. He uses so many different kind of lettering styles and sound effects and stuff. He slips on a banana peel and falls into the TV. Just this panel of sound effects is beautiful to me. And then it says electrostatic, this great logo. And then it's almost like by crashing through the TV, he's in this wondrous, surreal land of television where all these crazy things are happening. This is, guys, I could stare at this for 10 minutes. This is so cool, this shit right here. All these crazy things are happening. And so then his mother starts giving him shit, so he says, I'm going to really catch shit for this. I better bust on through. So he busts through the TV. Now, the little transistors in the TV, this becomes a recurring thing. It says, have you seen Flash? We'll find out more about this later. None of this really makes any sense. So, I guess it says Rollo's feeble retention makes a vision of paradise fragmentary. So instead of crashing out into this wondrous land through the TV, I guess he doesn't have the mental retention to sustain it. So he just jumps through the window, his own window. And just all this nonsense stuff on his t-shirt keeps changing. So then he says, I guess I'll change my shoes and walk downtown to watch Urban Renewal. And he looks through a scronco again, and he sees all these chickens and a floating apartment or storefront. Oh my God, I don't understand this at all. There's like this little, like, almost poem here. Rollo, once hostile, evil, outside the confines of his home, finds the world a warm, friendly, secure place where all the experiences are tainted with the kindness and compassion exchanged between human beings. Very different tone from the rest of the dialogue and the captions. So then he says, maybe I'll go over to my friend Hilo's house, Hilo. And he already can smell the drugs of Hilo before he gets to his apartment. So he's pretty excited. I think he's never done drugs before. So Hilo opens up the door, welcomes him into his well-drawn apartment, and he's blathering away. Now, this is interesting because remember I mentioned that little transistor talking about Flash. I forgot to mention. There's another little reference. Here, Dale has Zarkov fallen out. It's that little transistor bouncing around the street for some reason. Flash, stop it. And then his friend, in these really small lettering, tiny lettering, he's reciting seeing a Flash Gordon movie at the theater. So, like, there's some weird Flash Gordon thing running under the narrative of this comic for no real good reason. And it starts to impinge more and more upon the narrative. Like, for example, we actually see these little, I don't know if they exist in reality, but Flash Gordon saying, "Oh, Kale, blow me." And she said, and Dale's running from him. She's naked. And then we see even Ming the Merciless in the background. "No one thinks of my daughter that way. Suffer, Earthling." We see a little rocket ship taking off from the kitchen floor. So I think this is like another dimension because they don't seem to notice any of this. So Hilo mentions how he's low on funds. And, God damn it, Rollo, thanks. Rollo says, "I'm going to help him raise some money." And we continue to see these little, like, impish versions of Flash and Dale, Naked Dale. She's like, "You can't even remember my name. It's Dale." Because he called her Kale earlier. So then, I don't know what the hell's going on here. He's gathering up things, balancing this tea jar on his nose, juggling these things. A little oregano, a little tea, plastic bags, to which you can see, "We'll make money for Hilo and me." So, I mean, he's going to sell oregano as pot, you know. He's got little baggies. More of this. Here's Ming the Merciless again. This is like, just really seems like he was high as fuck when he wrote this. Like, just no rhyme or reason to all this. Like, why is this Flash Gordon narrative, well, not much of a narrative, just kind of cameos appearing. Here comes Ming. So, Rollo runs into a cop. I love this, how as soon as the cop appears, the background becomes this almost pattern of swastikas. Well, I mean, kind of disjointed swastikas. But in his word balloon, there's little swastikas in between everything he's saying. "Why aren't you in school? What's in the bag?" And he's like, "Oh, I was actually heading back to school. I had to get my project." So the cop gives him a ride to school. It says, "Luther P. Sugwater High School, one of America's most honest teen prisons." God, all the lettering in here is so good. So he says, "Thanks, officer. Thanks for the ride." And he goes into school and he sells all the oregano. He's got all his money. He goes to his bakery and blows all his money. Buys all these like crazy cookies and cakes. And then he's heading for a taxi. But then he trips and falls and all of his shit goes everywhere. And he crashes into the taxi window. I like how he has a cake on his foot here. And at the end of the day, he tallies up how much he spent and how much he made from the weed. And turns out after his take is only 50 cents after all, spending all that money. But he says, 50 cents isn't much for a day's amazement. And I've still got my Skronk cereal. And then little Flash Gordon, his spaceship has crashed. And he just says, "I'm going swimming." So I was just trying to tell you guys random things from this comic. I mean, every panel is just full of these crazy, just inexplicable things. But it is so well drawn. I swear to God, guys, this is like one of my favorite ERRATA comics ever now. I love this comic, even though I don't really understand it. It is, I mean, Googie Wama was interesting, and because it was so odd. But this is actually just masterful to me. This cartooning, the lettering, everything about it. I think this is just amazing. Here we have another Tim Boxell strip. This is even grosser. This is called Getting Contact Lenses. So this guy's convinced that he might look better without glasses on. He goes to the place. The first thing the doctor does is swing a baseball bat to the back of his skull, which makes his eyeballs fall out of his sockets. Now that he's out cold, they slice the eyeballs off and put them in a cleansing solution, because this will make it easier to put the lenses on. I haven't even mentioned that's just how that's some of the most repulsive art I've ever seen in an underground. So they, put it in a vise. They fasten with the contact lens with screws to the eyeball. Then they put all these weird clamps on his nerve endings, shove everything back up into his eye sockets. So it's almost like this is all an ad for a contact lens place. And that's what he looks like now, like some freak. A girl never necks with a boy who wears specs. Oh, this is a really nice Geradts speech. Comic strip. It's almost like a little children's book. So the narrator is this little baby. There were 7 kids in our home, and I was number 8. My father hollered, "At last a son." 10 years I had to wait. But as he grows up, he's an old toddler. The mother said, "I didn't really need this one." So he says, "Can I still go back? Because I don't feel welcome here." He goes to school for the first time. The teacher's kind of off-putting. And he says, "Miss, can you send me home again? I don't feel welcome here." I think this cartooning is just totally delightful. It almost looks like a great children's book or something. It's really nice. So when he gets home, he's a little older. There's a note on the door saying, get a job so you can earn your daily bread. And he rang the bell for half an hour and his parents didn't answer. I like all these random goons looking at him across the fence, a horse. So once again, he says, "I don't feel welcome here." So he's walking down the street and dejected, and a guy tries to mug him. He says, "Give me all your dough." And he said to him, "Just kill me and you'll put me in good cheer. I'm going to leave this place because I don't feel welcome here." And the mugger is just kind of bamboozled by it. He's like, "What? This guy doesn't care if I kill him?" That really spoke to me, that comic. I sometimes feel like I'm not welcome here on planet Earth. This one's a pretty groovy Tim Boxell one. Just because I love this logo. Look at this. Bad trip. That's a really cool, organic looking logo. So this guy scores some wicked LSD. He feels so beautiful that he's got to get out of his clothes and look at himself in the mirror. Look at the crazy wrinkles on his shirt, the inking of Tim Boxell. It's really obsessive looking. So he takes off all his clothes except for his boots. He looks in the mirror and he looks like Richard Nixon. And he falls over. He faints dead away. Wah, wah, wah. Very silly, but really nice cartooning. Really interesting, weird cartooning. This one is really weird. It's Rock McJock, the world's greatest disc jockey. And this is like, it doesn't feel like an underground comic. This is like, I don't know, this could have been in Bananas magazine. It's Dave Herring. There's a few like saucy things in it, but for the most part, it's just about this DJ. He's older and he's the popular DJ in town, but really he hates his job. He hates all the music he plays. We see this couple kind of making out on the couch, listening to the radio. He does one of those contests where it's like, if you can identify the next 12 songs, you'll win all this great shit. Of course, they're played simultaneously. Some of them are played backwards. They're played at different speeds. So it actually sounds like zip. But the girl actually says, "Oh, I know this one. I'm going to call." The boyfriend's kind of stymied. He just wants to make time with her. And she answers all, she gets almost everyone right. They make up all these funny song titles and bands. Why Do Fools Fool Around by Danny and the Junkies. I Want to Hold Your Elbow by the Roaches. This guy, Doug Herring, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. he was in fanzines in the 70s, like superhero fanzines. He would draw like a picture of the Flash or something to illustrate an article. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this guy, I remember that name, Doug Herring. And you can kind of see that he's got a very straight style, you know? It's not like he's a wonky underground cartoonist. The lion creeps tonight. So she gets one wrong, though. So she still gets an autographed picture of him. Then he does a pimple ad. Then meanwhile, the boy and girl are getting down. But now she's worried about her pimples. So she kind of puts a halt to their lovemaking, but then they get back into it. The news headline on WART is that Russian ICBMs are heading towards the United States. They'll be here in 20 minutes. And he announces Paul McCartney's new single. She says, oh, wait, stop, I gotta hear this. So the boyfriend's just like, that does it. And he smashes the radio and then jumps on his girlfriend. This is kind of terrible. She's screaming, like in fear. That was funny back then, I guess. So very weird strip, even not for an underground. Just like, I guess there's a little humor in it, but just like, it's just almost like just like random things about this DJ. Not much plot. I gotta say, I kind of like this simple cartooning. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's I don't know why. I think it's kind of cute. It reminds me of like Scott Shaw or one of those guys, you know, those classic Bigfoot funny animal cartoonists. But I mean, it's really not that good. But it's okay, whatever. And then we have a back cover. And I should look this up, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is. Man, I'm too lazy to look it up now. But it's just like a fake ad for, hey, get busted. Are you tired of your dull middle-class existence? Wouldn't you like to mingle with the peasants in jail? Become a hippie. So it's basically, you cut this out and you tape it over a pack of cigarettes and it looks like you have joints. Acapulco Gold. Fly your freak flag. So there you go, guys. Snarf number 1. I'm really hoping that next, all the other issues are this good. I think this was an exemplary underground. This is a really good one all around. Even the stuff that's not that good, it has that weird quality that makes undergrounds interesting. We're like, what the fuck is this? But there's actually some really high quality cartooning in here. God, that Dennis Kitchen shit, just flawless to me. I love his cartooning. And that Wendell Allen Pugh comic. Oh, it's piece de resistance. It's very good. So hope you guys like looking at this as much as I did. And I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.